Welcome back to the channel. This is the 5th video. I'm going to start on the suspension setup. By the end of this video, I hope to have the airbags mounted, or at least tack welded in to start mounting. And maybe start on the radius line. I'm not quite sure yet. So let's get started. First order of business, we got to measure everything out. So I'm going to measure everything, try some new video editing software, so I can fast forward through that so you guys don't have to watch me walk around. So one part that's important on this, when you're looking at the body of this car, is the fender is got a shape basically right around the tire on this car, especially on this one. I'm not going to have a fender, so that body line is crucial that it matches the tire. I'm actually going to pick up the tires before the end of this video. So you'll get to see the 40-inch tires that's going on here, which is just a monster tire. I'll be picking it up tomorrow. This video will last until the end of Saturday. So you'll be able to see the big ass tire on here. And then when we put the body on, I'll be able to set the tires. Don't have my wheels yet. But I do have a little tire that I can stick over here. And I'll be able to center it up. So it'll be very, very close to where the actual height's actually going to be. Alright, so with this, I want to kind of move it forward just here. That's pretty close. So, one thing that's horrible about these frames, and it's the reason why I bought a frame that was professionally made instead of building my own, is Ford did not make it easy back in the day. You look at modern frames, they're generally very square. They might go up and down. This frame goes in every single direction. It has an X, a Y, and a Z. If you look on the prints that I showed in my last video, it literally T-bones down several ways. It goes inward. It goes at angle on some of this. So when I square something up, I really have to pay attention to everywhere I'm squaring from, because there's so many different points, and if you square something on this side and you're not exactly right on the other side, everything's going to be crooked. So these are the most important pieces to square. Once these are squared, everything else just kind of falls in naturally. That is really, really close. We'll say that's within probably a 1/16 of an inch. I do have side-to-side adjustment once I put the suspension on. It will be a triangulated suspension, so it'll go from here to here, and then of course have the bars go down there. So I do have some space. The biggest thing on this is when we start looking at our airbags, those have got to be, you want those as up and down as possible, even side to side. 16th, it's not going to matter in the distance of these, but I want it as perfect as possible. Then I'll put it back in my office. So we'll just start with this one. So all this will be powder coated. It'll all be powder coated the same color. I'm actually powder coated in kind of a wild color, one that I would usually do a darker frame and darker suspension and running gear, but I found a color that I love it. It matches with what I'm wanting to do as the body, and maybe I show that in this video, maybe I don't. Maybe I show it once I get the body on here and do a comparison, but it'll certainly make eyes, it'll pull your eyes and make your head snap when you drive by. Alright, that is up. So, one over there. Let's go to that. Now the trick one is this. So, crazy enough, I'm going to have to cut these for the rear down, and I'm going to add on to the front. That's, again, this frame is crazy on the dimensions. I mean, it's almost 4 foot wide here, I believe, 40 inches. So 40 inches here, a little over 3 foot, and then in the front, it goes all the way down below 2 foot. I'm going to line it right about there. So 2 options on this now I can look at is, obviously I don't want to run this on the top of the frame. I want to put this like this. I want the most height I possibly can. So when I look at doing this, I have centered up over what used to be the pad for the spring. I'm centered up over the spring, and I have a nice welding spot here and here for these, and it actually helps me out when running lines and stuff. And I think that would be more than strong enough to hold that. And if I want to go back later, which I probably will, I can make a plate here to weld out against the frame, or I can cut it through here and just solid weld it out to the frame. But I do lose that roughly 2 inches there of lift. I do want this thing to be in the air. So that's about, let's actually put the level on there. So that's about level right there, which is a really good angle for dip and everything, mainly because this is going to be a couple inches higher, be about 12 inches higher once I get done with it. We put that there, and then this also gives a really nice place for the bump stop as well if I do that. So let's do that. Pause the video, and I'm going to get set up for the welder, and I'll be right back. Alright, as you can see, I got the bags in place. They're not bolted down yet, but they are where they're supposed to go. Frames aligned where it's supposed to go. So now we're going to do the triangulated suspension. Basically going to get those radius arms on here first, and then go to the front and start on those. So I have my brackets for each side somewhere, and my arm. So initially when I bought this set of arm, this is an Amazon set, thought they were too small. After looking it up, this is actually the same size that Dodge uses on their 3/4 ton pickup. So ought to work. Right. We need a bolt. So the idea is to, well, I need to move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, now the idea is here to put this all floppy like so, with the curve towards it, and then of course we're not welding anything out, we're just tacking it up. I will go back later and weld it all out nice and pretty before it goes powder coat. So about right here is where I find myself a pretty spot to put it. So the main thing is the arm needs to be as straight as possible. I do need to trim this up just a hair because this is a 3.5 and that's set for I think a 3-inch tube. So the tip is just a little off, which is really easy. Just cut that out, and then it'll be a little smoother, a little nicer setup. I'm gonna go ahead and weld it right next to that base setup, and I think that's gonna be about right. So if I do that, I want this to be level. So what this is intended for is, let me get the bolt off and I'll show you, is generally speaking on this piece, you would mount it on the bottom of your axle like so. So this would be your axle. You mount it on the bottom, that's where your arm goes. And then on the back side, this would just be a single bolt that comes out for your shock. So in that case, I would actually be putting it down here where these shock mounts are in about that same area, but over here, so it's lined up with the frame. Because you want your frame, you want these to be as square as possible. Now, unfortunately, with the bags, this tube would have to be about 2 foot longer for it to work the way I want it. Not only that, I then create this really low-hanging fruit for anything to get caught on. So I don't really like that idea. These will actually be cut off, and what I plan on using this for is part of my my brake lines, as well as maybe a light that points down and under the car. So when I sit right here, I can bolt the light here and have that light pointing down or pointing in front of the tire and have that on an auxiliary switch. So when you're going down the road and it gets dark, you're playing in ditches, whatever, turn that auxiliary switch on and see that light. So the holes won't go to waste. It's just a factory design. I could always go back if I didn't really want those and cut it off, but I don't think that's necessary. I think that will look just fine, sitting just like this, and then on top of that, having that little square light right there, I think that'll look pretty cool. So, next order of business is magic ring. And then grab one of those. And again, I'm going to set this up here just so I can see. And I'm going to cut it. Now, in case that is just a little bit too much, won't really on the gap. I can make that gap open as well. You don't want to get your action too hot. So it's more important to have a nice, clean fit with the most surface area and just have a little notch there, then have this poke out and have a huge gap there where you got to do multiple fills. And when you do multiple fills like that, you get your axle hot. And even though I've never seen it happen on a Sterling 10 or a Dana 60, which is the axle I'm using, it is possible to warp these. I have seen it done on smaller axles, something like you'd run in like an S10 or a car axle. If you weld too much, it will warp that and causes a lot of issues. And it's one of those issues that if you don't catch right off the bat, afterwards it costs you a lot more money, and it's usually cheaper just to replace the axle. So we're just going to trim it up just a little bit more. Again, that's a pretty good fit. So I'm going to get a magnet, put on this, see if I can hold it there. in order to weld it. I do want it flat with this. I think it'll just look better aesthetics to keep that flat. It's not going to do anything performance wise of moving this up and over. So, right. So with any type of fabrication like this, you just want to tack until you are 110% certain everything fits. The last thing you want to do is weld that sucker out and it'd be wrong, and then not only destroy your part, but also take hours to remove all that, and it's just not worth it. So one of the things that you got to do on these trailing arms is, the radius arms one, you want to take this out, make sure you go about halfway with the jam nut, and that way when you put this in here, if you're all the way in and you weld it and you're all the way in and this is squared where it should be, you have no adjustment. So if you do it halfway, then you have that halfway back and forth of about 2 inches. Put this perfect square. Saturday morning. We got the temporary wheels and tires this morning, so now I can move freight around a little bit easier. Also, I don't know why I left off yesterday, but I did get the bottom pads mounted. Right now, I'm actually working on getting the top pads mounted. And what I've done, take this off here, is over on my drawing. So this is the front, this is the rear of the frame. I measured from the rear because I want it to sit level. So I want my airbag to be level. So I measured it out, and basically it's 3 inches from the bottom of the main frame to the airbag. So I need 3 inches to the bottom of the main frame. Up here. Yeah, up there as well. So I got those measurements out. I did go ahead and make these little plates right here. Those will be welded in. Of course, it's funky, but I'll make it out of metal. I'm going to do it on the inside and outside so it's boxed in with the rest of the frame. And then that'll be a smooth transition. You won't even be able to tell that that's not part of the frame. And of course, you run it all the way out on both sides. Up here, I'll probably end up doing something very similar to this one because it will have to be a 57/8 below this. So yeah, I'll have it boxed out too. That makes sense boxed too. So that's where we're at this morning. Let's get started. And of course, the 2 chairs are stools right now for the frame. So in order to do this, I got squat. So, also level. That's our angle. Don't have if I have a digital angle finder, I put an angle finder on top of the frame, and then also put it here. And that's the angle on what I do measurements. Hey guys, it's Sunday afternoon. So I'm just gonna go over what we got done this weekend and what we look forward to next week. A few things I gotta finish up this week. The biggest update is Friday. I will be going and getting the body along with the 40s. I was gonna get the 40s this weekend. Got held up on some other things. And then also, I will get our sheet of 3/16 steel in order to do our brackets and all of our fill-in metal. So really looking forward to that. A lot of videos coming here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all on the flip side. So here's what we got done this week is just an overview is the triangulated rear suspension along with the airbags. We got our temporary wheels and tires to make it a little bit easier to put around. We also got the front airbags. You can see my cardboard cutouts for my bracing due to the width of the frame. I don't really like how that's that far out. So I'm going to do some bracing around there to strengthen that up. We did start on our radius arms. We have this beautiful creature here that looks sloppy as all get out, but I promise you it'll turn out to be beautiful. So it'll come out right here, it'll weld out to here, it'll actually capture the radius arm on both sides, and then block out to here along with some bracing to completely get that over. Did look at starting the measurements for the shock tower, which this is the factory brace. There'll be a hoop here with the shock hoop that will lean outward to connect that. Same thing on the rear, except for the shock will be closer to the back side. We do have this, which we did a little bit differently than what usually is done. It's usually put on the bottom here. I put it out here to get some extra length, as well as there's going to be a light right here that actually points down in front of the tire. So you can see, again, these are going to be 40-inch tires. The car is a 5-window Ford, so there's not a lot of visibility. I would really like to see out my door. I'm thinking about actually having those wired into the door switch, so when you open the door, everything is lit out in front of you. Along with, also started looking at steering, how steering is going to work on this. It's going to be a little bit difficult. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do on that. I think I'm going to have to mount the steering box actually a little bit below the radiator. I'm not sure yet. It's gonna take a minute to figure that out. I got to get the gearbox in, but I do see that as being a valuable place to put it in order to keep that geometry on the steering wheel. We really want to make sure that's right. Along with, I started the measurements on the motor, so you can see on the frame here where my radiator and fan will go all the way back to here's the back of the motor. This is the start of the body. I'm not going to put that motor in until I have that body on here, bolted down, and then I will make the lines on the frame so I know where not to go. Then put the block in. I'll be able to hang the block during that time and put the brackets in, weld those up. So a lot of work accomplished for the first 3 days of working on this project. Really looking forward to getting more and more done. Over the course of next month, the main thing will be getting everything on the frame done. Once we have everything on the frame completed, welded up, then I will take the body back off. I'll take the body off before I start welding, but I'll take the body off. The body will stay here with me while I'm working on it, and the frame and all the suspension will be unbolted again, taken apart in pieces, and then taken to powder coat. That way when it comes back, everything will be new on it. The axles have to be taken apart. I'll do videos over that. We are going to take all the axles, both axles apart, do things like I got to get a plug for this because I'm not going to have a sensor on it. Take the brake lines off because brake lines will be ran differently than how this setup is. Take all the calipers off, take those apart. I'll show you the proper way to do that. It's really easy. Take the calipers apart because I do want the calipers powder coated red. And then the rest of the axle will be powder coated the same color as the frame. Along with that, take off the disc brakes, put all new rotors and pads. No sense putting used stuff. We'll put new bearings and seals in the axles, along with the pinion bearing and seals. New diff cover with a vented diff cover on it, and new gear oil. Same thing for the front. Front will be cleaned up. The front will be a lot more work because I am going to do also new ball joints, upper and lower ball joints on this. New U-joints, which I'll take those to someone to do it because I'm not going to spend 3 hours trying to pop that out when it takes them 20 minutes. Same thing with the brakes, all new brakes. On the front, there will be new hubs built. I'll just buy new hubs. And also the lockers. I do have a locker on one side, I don't on the other. That I'll probably just go to the junkyard and pull. As long as it's a good one, it doesn't really matter on this, mainly because the lockers will always be locked. And they still are going to maintain manual locks. So that's the update for now. And yeah, thank you for watching if you watched this long. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do videos as far as length yet. And when I do, you'll see them. I think I'm going to try to keep them around 30 minutes instead of an hour. This video is a little bit long, but I did do a lot of work over 3 or 4 days. I think I should have really broke it down into rear suspension, front suspension, and then mock-up. Moving forward, I'll probably separate it out a little bit better. But thank you for watching. Have a great one. Bye.